So I just wanted to come and do a quick video with some tips and tricks and recommendations on what helped me to pass the NCLEX. So for those of you who don't know, NCLEX actually stands for National Council Licensure Examination, and there are two forms of it. There's the NCLEX-RN, which is for registered nurses, and the NCLEX-PN, which is for, I think, LVNs and LPNs. So depending on what kind of nurse you're going to be, that will determine which test you're choice test, and it ranges from 75 all the way up to 265 questions. So, and then also 15 of those questions are just pilot questions. So I guess really it's 60 questions all the way up to 250 questions. They throw out 15. They're just there to see whether they can use them or not in future tests. So what happens is you go in, you start taking your test, you're clicking, you're doing your multiple choice. And so anywhere past the 75 mark, the computer can shut down. It'll cut you off. So just depending on how you're doing, whether you're doing well enough that it thinks that you're passing, or whether you're doing low enough that you're not gonna pass, it's gonna cut you off. So the first time I took the test, I took all 265 questions. The second time I took the test, it cut me off right at 75. So there's no real way to say, oh, if you took 75 questions, you passed, or if you took all 265, you failed, because it could be that you were just doing really lousy, and so it had to cut you off at 75 because there was no comeback. Or it could be that you took all 265, you were on the fence the whole time, and then towards the end, you kind of got it together, and you ended up passing at 265. There's just really no way to gauge whether or not you passed. However, there is this thing called the Pearson VUE trick. I'm sure you guys have heard of it. I mean, everyone does it. So once you're done with the test, if you want to determine whether you passed or failed, you go back on the Pearson VUE website and you try to register for the NCLEX again. And I mean, I tried it. Everyone I've known that's taken the NCLEX has tried it. If it lets you register for the test again, it means you failed. And if you try to register and it doesn't, that means you passed. So, I mean, it's not like scientifically proven. I mean, not scientifically proven. It's not like a fact. This is just something that, you know, nursing students have noticed, and that's what people do, and I can vouch for it. It did work for me. The first time when I failed, it definitely let me register for it again, and the second time when I passed, it denied me. I got the good pop-up. So that's just a little insight. You also have up to 6 hours, I believe, to complete the test. At least that's what it was when I took it. So, and they do have mandatory breaks. I think after like 2.5 hours of being in the room taking the test, they require you to take a break. So yeah, just keep that in mind. And yeah, so if you guys want to know more tips and tricks, recommendations about how to pass the NCLEX, just keep watching. So my first recommendation to help you pass the NCLEX would be to take a review course. So what a review course is going to do is it's going to help you refresh all the content that you've just been tested on in nursing school. And even though you might think oh, I've just graduated, I'm good on content, it's still a good idea to go in and hit the key points of each subject. And that's what these review courses are going to help you to do, because you might not remember things from, you know, semesters back that you've learned, and you'll forget. Once you get in the NCLEX, you're like, oh yeah, I remember learning that, but I don't necessarily remember what it's all about. So that's what these review courses are going to help you do. So the review course that I took was the Hearst review. It was offered at my nursing school, so I went ahead and took it. It was either a few days or a week long. I can't remember exactly how long the course was, but what they did was they sped through content, and they gave us a book, and we followed along based off their PowerPoint, and we would fill in. You know, it was like fill in the blank, and then at the end of each section there would be a bunch of multiple choice questions, like NCLEX style questions, just to help us to both review the content and to practice NCLEX questions, because the NCLEX doesn't necessarily test on content. It tests on your application process. So you might see a question on the NCLEX that has answers A, B, C, D, and E, and all of those answers might be the correct answer, but what it's wanting you to do is to pick which answer is the best answer, not necessarily the correct, because they're all correct, but which one is the best? Which one are you going to do first? Which one makes the most sense? Which one is going to be the first thing that you do in the process of all these things that you still need to do. So, and then that's what kind of makes the test one of the most difficult tests that you take in your nursing career, because you're used to taking tests that are just like, oh, this is the right answer. Oh, this is the right answer. But like I said on the NCLEX, they could all be the right answer, but you have to choose the best one. So my second recommendation would be to get a review book. So like I said previously, I took the Hearst review. That definitely came with a book that I used also to refresh content and things of that nature. But you need a book with NCLEX style questions. And I wish I had my book still to show you guys, but I used a Saunders review book. It was a pretty thick blue book. It was 4 years ago, so I'm sure there's new versions of it. But it also came with a CD with thousands upon thousands of NCLEX style questions to help me prepare, and that's exactly what you need to do. So my recommendation is, once you've finished your review course, start taking questions, multiple choice NCLEX style questions. Now that you know your content because you've taken that review course, start doing questions, because that's what's going to help you to pass. You need to get in the mindset of NCLEX style questions, because they're unlike any question that you've taken in nursing school, and that's what's going to help you to prepare to choose the best answer. There's also a lot of questions in the NCLEX that are choose all that apply, so you definitely have to know content on top of what are the best answers. It's a tricky test. A lot of nurses that I've talked to say it's the hardest test they've taken in their nursing career. And I mean, during nursing school, I took both the HESI. I had to take the HESI between my junior and senior year in order to move to my senior year. And then I had to take ATI in order to graduate. They were in the process of changing, so I was kind of that awkward group that was caught in the middle that took HESI one year and then they switched to ATI the next year. But HESI is arguably a pretty considerably hard test, but I feel like the NCLEX is much harder. So definitely get you some questions, review them, do them day in, day out, just questions upon questions upon questions, because that is exactly what you need in order to help you to pass. Next recommendation would be to study in a group, and this is the mistake that I made the first time around. After I took the Hearst review, I just kind of did my own thing. The second time around, I got with a group of friends who also had not passed, and we studied together and we did things out loud, and someone would ask a question and we would all shout out an answer, and if we all had different answers, we would kind of, before the person would give the correct answer, we would each give our rationale. Well, why do you think this? Why do you think this? Why do you think this? And it kind of gets your brain working, and it lets you see other people's ways of thinking, of other people's thinking process, which can also help you. So I think that's definitely a good way to study. I always recommend studying in a group. I don't know why I didn't do it the first time, because it's definitely the way to go as far as seeing different rationales and people's different ways of answering questions. And I definitely think that that's something that helps you when it comes to taking the NCLEX, is to hear everyone's different rationales. So the last thing I want to say is just to walk in the test with your head held high. Think to yourself, I'm gonna pass this. I've studied. Everything that I've done for the past however many years you did nursing school has led up to this moment, and I'm gonna pass it. I've done all these test questions, I've prepared for it, and I've got this in the bag. If you walk in there with negative thoughts in your head, it's gonna directly affect how you do on the test. So you've gotta put yourself in this mood and in this spirit and put it in your head that I've got this and I'm gonna own it. The night before the exam, I recommend to take the night off, and that's what I did the night before I took it the second time. I took the night off. I did things that I enjoyed. I completely took my mind off the exam so that I could have a completely clear head the next day when I went in. And I think that definitely helped, because if you stress to the last minute and you're studying and you're cramming to the very last minute, all it's gonna do is stress you out, and that's the last thing that you want. You want a clear mind so that you can think clearly, you can click through these questions, and you can get your nursing license. So that's all I've got for this video, guys. I really hope that helped anybody who is getting ready to take the NCLEX, whether it's your first time, your second time, your third time, or whatever it may be. I just wanted to get this video out just to give my 2 cents on what helped me to pass, and hopefully they can help anyone out there that is getting ready to take the NCLEX. So good luck to you all, and let me know if you have any more recommendations, or if you passed and this video helped you, leave a comment down below. Bye guys.